So I made it to my room. It's a little small, but actually quite nice. It makes up for it with the 20-foot high ceilings, which is kind of crazy. It's like really high ceilings. One thing that's interesting about this hotel, which I was hoping to see, but I haven't seen yet, and now I have, is that thing. Whatever that is. A bidet. Europeans use it, so I guess I am too. That's going to be interesting. But I think I'm going to like Venice a lot. I like any city that's on the water, and like Amsterdam was on the water. I really enjoyed that. And Venice is on the water. I only got here after it got dark, but I think I'm going to enjoy it a lot, even so. Because I'm going to be here for 3 days instead of 2, which the past couple places I've been to, I've only stayed 2 days, which honestly is a mistake because you only get 1 full day in the city, and that really isn't enough. But those are sort of cities that were just in between. So I guess it's all right. For now, I'm going to shower because I've just been traveling all day, and then head out and grab something to eat in Venice. Hopefully that's fun. So I just had one of the best meals I've had at a little restaurant with an Italian name. I forget what it was called already, but oh, it was so good. I just had it was normal pasta with a cream sauce, but oh my gosh. Maybe I'm just really hungry because I haven't eaten since breakfast, but that was really good. This whole city is like a maze. I walk one way and then you get lost really easily. Because if you see, it looks like I'm in a back alley, but this isn't a back alley. This is basically the main street, or what most of the main streets look like. Little kind of paths in between the houses. Either way, I'm gonna head back to my hotel and go to sleep early because I'm just so tired today. All this travel. But I'm here for 3 days instead of 2, which is a good idea. Which also looks familiar from a video game I played, which is funny. So I've sort of already been here before in a way. Looking at all this stuff, it's very interesting to see Venice. The whole city is like half a meter above sea level, which I don't know how well that spells for the long-term prosperity of Venice, considering the ocean's slowly creeping up little by little. I don't know, maybe it won't be so good. Either way, I have about an hour until my appointment to go into the Basilica and the Gold Room, where they keep all the stuff they stole from Constantinople, which will be interesting to see. I don't know, I really like it. One thing that's interesting I learned is that the whole city of Venice is just built on wood pilings that are like 1,000 years old, that are slowly sinking. So not only is the ocean coming up, but the city of Venice is going down. I don't know how they're gonna deal with that, but it's really nice here. I really like it. The whole city is just one big marina, basically. You're always right next to the water, which is enjoyable. For now, I think I'm gonna find something to eat, because I haven't eaten anything today. I don't know, I think my food consumption might have gone down in Europe compared to the US. The portions are smaller, but I've been skipping breakfast all the time. And I feel fine. I don't think I've lost any weight or anything, so I guess it's all right. Either way. For now, I'm just going to take a walk and see if I can find a restaurant. whereas the Germanic cathedrals and churches that I've been to so far have kind of seemed to try to impress people with their grandiosity, just how large they are and how incredibly impressive they are. I just took a tour of the Venetian cathedral, and it sort of does almost the exact opposite. It impresses you with its specificity, in that like every little detail is there. Whereas in Germany you'd have one gigantic column that's the biggest column you've ever seen. Here you have 50 columns, and they're all in different sorts of stones. And they're all engraved in one way or another, or they have some sort of decoration. And then that all kind of comes together with that final golden and gemstone piece with 1,000 different sorts of gemstones, with the gold inlay and all that kind of stuff that you saw. And that was behind the sort of pulpit way in the back of the church, where most people, I guess, wouldn't get to see. It's like a complete opposite approach to impressing the believers with how great Christianity is with these great cathedrals. So far from what I've seen, the Italians are taking a much more detailed and specific approach, and the Germans are taking a much more grand approach. And that even applies to London and Amsterdam, and maybe to a lesser extent Paris as well with Notre Dame. It just tries to impress you with its grandiosity versus here, which I found extremely, extremely interesting. Now I'm going to try to get into the Doge's palace, which, if you don't know what the Doge is sort of like the elected leader of Venice, who was elected from the aristocrats. So not everyone could vote, but a lot of the landowning men in Venice could vote, and they got to elect their leader. But he still got an awesome palace. So I don't know, he probably wasn't using all his power for the good of the people, but at the very least he is elected, so it's a big departure from where I was before. And then looking over there, there's some sort of island over there with a lot of stuff. That's also part of Venice, but I don't know if I'm going to get a chance to get over there. If I had to guess, that's a newer construction. Just looking at it. Probably another basilica. Probably some more statues. Very impressive though. I really enjoyed that cathedral. I went for the time ticket instead of trying to just walk in. I should have just tried to walk in because there was no line. It looked like there was a line, but it took like 2 minutes. So in the future, I don't know. I guess I'll just try to walk in, like I'm about to try to walk into the Doge's palace. Just right here. Wish me luck. So I made it into the Doge's palace. I think I have a bias. Whenever I see anything made out of bricks, in America, all the old buildings are made out of bricks and all the new ones are made out of glass. So in my head, whenever I see a brick building, I think, oh, this is just an old crappy building. But in Europe, and I guess especially in Italy, brick buildings are very high class. The Doge of Venice got to live in a brick building apparently, so it's very nice. Now I'm going to get to see Vita da Doge, which is the living the Doge, which is where the Doge lives. I'll get to go inside, take a video for you guys. courtyard, Venice had a very large prison system right under the Doge's palace, which should tell you something. That's very interesting. In all the other places, they had prisons, France, Germany, Austria. But here in Venice, they put the prison right under where the head of state lives, which is incredibly interesting. I bet he would go down and do a lot of interrogations. One other interesting thing I noticed is that in Venice, at least in the past, they had a major difference from the United States is that you could accuse anyone anonymously, and oftentimes they would follow through with that accusation and they would prosecute people off that anonymous accusation. Whereas in the United States, you have the right to face your accuser or something like that. In Venice, it was the exact opposite. You never got to know your accuser, so you could accuse anyone else of, treason or working against the government or the Doge, and the Doge would probably listen to that anonymous accuser. But even more interesting, the Doge had spies who would watch and see who would go put the anonymous accusation. So only the Doge knew who was making the accusation, but nobody else did. Which, from what I'm gathering, it seemed like ancient Venice, while it was a republic and it was a 1,000-year-long republic, it was a city of spies and lies and accusations, but it managed to exist for such a long time, which is impressive. Wow. I don't even know where I'm going now. One interesting thing I've noticed is that the Venetians really, really loved making their floors out of different material. And different types of stone have famously different strengths and resistances. So the stronger stones, the harder stones, they don't wear down very fast. But the lighter stones, the weaker stones, they wear down much quicker. So you have these floors that are bumpy, with the stronger stones being raised and the lighter stones being inlaid. And I think that trend will just continue forever and ever. And eventually you're going to have these floors that have holes in them. Almost holes, but huge divots over and over and over, where all the weaker stones are placed, which I think is somewhat comedic. Another thing I learned, if you look over there, it's kind of hard to see, but there's two columns. On one column is the famous lion with the wings, of course, in Venice. That's like the national animal. But on the other one, there's a guy with a big spear and an alligator or a crocodile. And of course, to the Venetians, this was like a mythical beast that was slain by one of their heroes. And then in the modern day, it's like you go to Florida, you see 1,000 of them. And then there are people who grab them by the tail and drag them around like it's nothing. The one up there doesn't even look that big. Oh, you see, I'm still a little sick. I have a little bit of a cough. Well, now I saw the Doge's palace. I saw the cathedral. I don't know what else there is to see in Venice. I'll have to figure it out. I'd like to take a boat ride around the city. For now, I think I'm just gonna aimlessly walk around. Oh, you know what? Actually, I'm gonna try to buy a Venetian coin, an actual Venetian coin. From like the 1700s or something like that, or earlier, ideally. I think that would be super, super cool. And it's one of those kind of souvenirs that will actually retain its value, because there's always going to be ancient coin collectors. I saw a store while I was walking over here that had them, and then I Googled it, and apparently there's a store specifically for Venetian coins, and I'm very excited. I'm going to go find that. I think it's that way, where I came from. Either way, I think it's excellent. gonna try to get a really nice restaurant, hopefully somewhere high up that I can actually see the city. Because besides this thing right here, and I don't think you can go up there, that big tower, I think there's no vantage points where you can see the city. Unless you have a helicopter, which I don't. And I've been thinking of buying a hat too, something to go with what I usually wear, which is this blue jacket, white shirt. If you're wondering why I'm always wearing a white shirt in these videos, it's because, like the genius that I am, decided to bring 3 white shirts and then 1 checkered shirt, and that's it. So 3/4 of the time you're gonna see me wearing exactly what I'm wearing now. I also have 2 pairs of jeans that I bought in London that are super comfortable, super nice. They're like imported from Japan, which maybe I should have waited until I got to Japan so I didn't have to pay to import them, but that's okay because I get to wear them on my trip, which is the whole point. And they're like perfectly sized. They actually cut them to length and stuff like that, which I really liked. It's like best fitting jeans I've ever had. For now, I'm just gonna walk through the shops, maybe take a video, hopefully find my lucky Venetian coin. Pretty cool. As the sun goes down in Venice, I have gotten something very important, very special. I was expecting, maybe I'll find something, a Venetian coin from the 1400s at the height of the Venetian Empire, but no, I saw something even more interesting. I found a coin, and it was the only one from this time, from Augustus. Julius Augustus Caesar, Kaiser, which is very special. It was the only one in the whole store. So now, and when I get back, I'm keeping it right next to my heart for now, but when I get back, I'll show you. I have a Roman coin from 30-something AD, abouts, with Augustus's face on it, which is just impressive and amazing. I'm very excited to have that. Now I have a piece of real Roman history, which there's no Roman ruins in Venice because Venice was created after Rome. But this sort of fulfills my goal of seeing a Roman ruin or Roman something in every city that has one, including now Venice. Even though they don't have Roman ruins, I got to see and I got to buy and now bring home a Roman coin with Augustus, not just one of these random emperors that were terrible or couped the government and basically destroyed the empire, but Augustus, one of the, if not the most famous emperors. And I was born in August, so he is responsible for the name of the month in which I was born. Now it's getting loud here, and my phone's at like 5%. I don't even know if I can make it back home. Not home, back to the apartment, or hotel, I should say. But I'm extremely excited. So far, only one day in Venice, and I've already seen Doge's Palace, a couple cathedrals, and now I have a Roman coin, and I've seen everything else here. I think I'm really enjoying it. What a wonderful night in Venice. I went to many things today. I went to the Doge's Palace. I went to the Arsenal. I went to many stores. I bought a Roman coin, not from any period, but from the specific period of Augustus, perhaps one of the greatest emperors Rome has ever had, perhaps the greatest emperor Rome has ever had. And now I own one of his coins. And then I went to a wonderful 4 or 5 course meal. Now I'm gonna walk back to my hotel, and I'm gonna tell you what, I'm gonna do it without using Google Maps. I'm gonna take a walk and I'm gonna figure out my way back. You think I can? Probably. I have a good feeling about it. I am in such a good mood. I think Venice is perhaps my favorite city so far. It's such a beautiful city, and the whole thing is just a big marina, which is like Amsterdam without the, well, to be crass, without the prostitutes. I haven't seen any here in Venice. Maybe there are. Maybe there is a red light district somewhere, but I haven't seen it yet. And there's more canals. It's less ordered, which I like. The whole city is uncertain, which you don't get in Amsterdam or New York or anywhere else that I've been. For now, that's it for tonight. I'm gonna walk back to my hotel. I bet I can make it without checking Google Maps. I know where to go. And then I'm gonna start again tomorrow and record an intro for this video, which I haven't done yet. But you'll have already seen that, of course. So this is day, I guess, 3 in Venice, really. And it is the weekend. Today is Saturday, and it is probably twice as crowded as yesterday and the day before. Venice is like completely clogged with people. Some of the alleyways where yesterday you could just walk through are now like a train of people where you have to wait for the, you know, the people in front with the little kids who are walking really slow, and you can't go around them because there's other people coming the other way. So I think there's 2 big things that I learned from my trip so far for my next trip in Venice. 1, you want to be in southern Venice, but you want to not be on the southern island. And 2, you don't want to be here on the weekend. So you can plan a nice 5-day trip, not including the weekend, would be a good idea. Just because the city's not very big, or it's expansive, but the streets are very narrow, which makes it feel all the more crowded, which you want to avoid, I think. I know there's a festival sometime in January or February or something, and I imagine it's going to be 100 times worse then than it is now, because this is just some random weekend, and it's not even in season. It's kind of chilly today. But at least I learned something from my next trip. I've so far been enjoying it a lot, but there's always ways you can figure out how to improve. And this was one of them. Don't come here on the weekend. So I'm gonna be doing something different now. Whereas usually I just kind of get into it. Now I'm actually gonna try making an intro where I explain what's gonna happen. So in this video, I go from South Tyrol to Venice. I get to my hotel and I travel around the city. So this is one of the, I would say, least visited tourist attractions. It's the Arsenal of Venice, where all the Venetian ships that conquered the Mediterranean were built at one point. And the only way to get there is you have to walk through a residential district with nothing in it and no signs for 20 minutes. And then you have to walk down like a metal platform that's bolted to the side of the outside of Venice. So you're standing over the water and you have a big wall on one side. And you have to do that for another 15 minutes. And then eventually you go and there's this little sign that says Arsenal de Venice, and you can go in that way. And I imagine they do it so tourists don't come out here like me. But here I am, because I really wanted to see the Arsenal of Venice, and I figured, well, there's got to be a way in somewhere, so I just kept walking around the whole thing until I got here. But there were absolutely no signs, either in Italian or English, until you got right up in front of it. And I looked online, it wouldn't tell you how to get in either, which is interesting. But I made it. I'm in, and I'm looking around. Not too much to see right now, it's just a boat dock. But over there, it's a submarine, and that'll be cool. So hopefully I can get some good footage of it. So this was as close as I could get to the submarine. And I'm reasonably sure I'm not supposed to be back here either. But nobody's around. This place is basically empty, so who's gonna complain, right? I'm sure someone will come by and start yelling at me, "No entrada," something like that. That's why I gotta be quiet so nobody hears me. But I guess this is the abandoned quarter of Venice, with the empty, abandoned arsenal. Not doing anything productive anymore, apparently. It's interesting to see. I love abandoned things, and looking at this is very cool. I doubt very many tourists come over here. Either way, I'm gonna walk back to where I'm supposed to be before someone comes and deports me. That wouldn't be so good. So that's the last day of my trip in Venice. I have really enjoyed myself, and I will be back. But for now, I am taking the half-an-hour walks through alleyways and up and down stairs with my wheel bag, which isn't so easy. And I am off to Milan. I got a nice one-way ticket with a reserved seat, which I am very happy about. And that's it. Hope you enjoyed the video. And stay tuned for the next one where I travel around Milan, and then who knows? It's just amazing to me that Venice, parts of Venice are underwater under normal conditions. It's not raining or there's not high winds blowing water into the Adriatic or anything. This is just high tide, and like already that restaurant, half of it is underwater, which I know Venice is sinking and the water is coming up, but it's interesting to see. It's too bad, really. I bet the first floor of every building in Venice is underwater, like all the time. Maybe once a month or something like that, or at least once a year when there's a storm or something. The water would have to come up at least to my shins, considering at high tide I'm barely above the water right now, and in places the floor is already underwater. I hope Venice lasts is what I'm trying to say. I changed into my hiking shoes in order to make it through Venice this morning. Luckily I had my bag with all my stuff in it, because half the streets are underwater. I don't know, is the moon in the right place? Is this a neap tide or something? Or is this just like twice a day this happens? And I just got lucky in that I didn't see it. I have no idea. It really is crazy though. It's not like they could just raise the city up. It is where it is.